So this exercise is to strengthen the muscles gluteus medius and minimus. I have some other videos like hip hiking, single leg standing, and those are functional ways to use that muscle. And what I mean by functional is when you're moving around in your everyday life, like walking, standing, that carries those muscles into more functional movements you do all the time. This is a good way to isolate the muscle. So if the muscle's already weak, like you've had a labral tear, you have a tendon issue with the hip, this targets the muscles to make them stronger. So what I would do is do this exercise to isolate the muscles and then follow it up with the more functional exercises like hip hiking, standing on one leg. So you're more aware of the feeling of the muscle and how it happens when you're doing those movements. So gluteus medius and minimus are at the side of the hip. They're important for stabilizing the pelvis and body on the leg. We're going to isolate those, and it's important when we do them that we actually activate our lower back and core in a good way first, because if we're not strong enough through here when we do the exercise, we're probably going to be compensating, moving inadequately at the hip. So I'm going to show you also how to activate multifidus and transverse abdominis in conjunction with the hip muscle. So if you want a little bit more information on those, I'd go to those videos. So I'm going to lie down. First, what we want to do is make sure that our body are completely straight. So if you want, you can also you can put a pillow under your head and lie down like that if you're more comfortable in your neck and shoulder. I'm just going to put my head on my arm like this. So first of all, I'm making sure I'm straight and that I've got an arch in my lower back. Then I'm going to maintain my hand here to make sure I have that arch in the lower back. And I'm going to bend my knees to about 45 degrees, and then I'm going to move my hand to on top of the hip crest right here. So where there's an hourglass sort of shape, just on top of it. So the tendency is when we're lifting our leg is to actually hike this crest upwards. So we're actually shortening our body. So when we do that, we're kind of using the low back muscles like the QL, quadratus lumborum, our oblique muscles. So I don't want us to do that in this exercise. I want to keep space between the ribs and the pelvic bone. So the hip bone. So what we're going to do is first drop this hip down as if we're bringing the sit bone towards the opposite wall. So we're lengthening our side body. Now my back is still arched, and I'm going to engage those deep back muscles, multifidus. So I'm kind of spreading my sit bones, and I feel kind of a deep engagement at the base of my spine. And then I'm going to pull my transverse abdominis in, which kind of engages already with the multifidus muscles. So that stabilizes my core in this position where my side body is long and it's not shortened. And then what I'm going to do first is straighten my leg, and I'm going to keep it in line with the rest of my body. So it's almost like I'm standing here. And I'm going to bring my leg up as high as I can without actually shortening the side body. And what I mean by that is not hiking the hip, but keeping this strong and nothing's moving. The only thing that's moving is my hip right here. So this muscle, gluteus medius and minimus, are contracting to lift my leg. So I'm strengthening my core plus those muscles. Now when my leg is straight, I kind of target more the muscles that are in line with the hip, which are kind of the front fibers. A lot of people have weakness in the back fibers. And that's why what we're going to do is, after we do a few of these to start to get that action going, we can bring the leg forward at different degrees, like maybe 20 degrees here. And I'm going to try to lift my leg up through this line of movement. And I don't want to be jerky with the movement because then I can't control it. I want to try to find that muscle. And if you need, you can put your finger on the back of the buttock to find that muscle. And you're lifting you contract that muscle to lift the leg. Now I'm going to bring my leg forward even more. The key is that as I bring my leg forward, I don't want to lose the position in my back. And if your hamstrings are really short, what's going to happen is that as you bring the leg forward, your back is going to want to round. So I'd rather you not go so far forward and round the back, and just keep it where you can keep the leg solid and straight with a nice arch in the back. So if that for you, if you're super flexible and you can get it all the way here, I would try it as long as you can keep that stability. You can try different places in the range of movement. And we're once again just going until we fatigue, and we'll start to feel really tired and heavy in the hip as if our leg wants to just drop down. And that's where you would stop the movement. So I'm just getting the muscle engaged and I'm lifting. Now, if this is really challenging for you, what I would do is get a yoga block or a stack of books so that you can rest your foot on them and then just lift an inch off of the book. And what that will do is ensure that the movement just comes from here, because if you're too weak, your tendency will want to be to rotate the pelvis backwards when you move or to hike the hip. That helps to isolate the muscles, and you should feel a good burn. You might feel that you feel it in your hamstrings and down the leg, and Gluteus Minimus has a referral pattern when you activate the muscles where you can actually feel it all the way down the leg, so that's not a bad thing. So yeah, that's Gluteus Medius Minimus. It's called straight leg raise in side lying.